Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Conspiracy Nexus. This is episode 16. I'm your host, Paranormal Ripples, aka Ray, and I'm joined once again by my friend Scott, the blind dyslexic.
Hello.
And tonight we've got a very I'd say, interesting episode because to do with like the royal family here in the UK and someone who was very popular in the circles, Princess Diana. And yeah, she's been dead quite a few years now, 27 years, which is hard to believe. I'm sure you know where you were when you heard that news. I think that was one of them.
I know I was living here in Oklahoma. I forget if I was living in this current address or the one that was on Lewis when it happened.
It's like one of them days where you know exactly where you were when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone says to you, you know certain things, like presidents, where you know where you were when presidents were taken out, and everything. Diana was no exception. Of course, everyone points their finger at the royal family, obviously, in some aspect. With Prince Philip's past.
Yeah, so that whole her guy she was dating or about to marry, they said they had objections to him and all that. So they Clintoned her, they Hillary her. I mean, I'm sorry, they that's what they've done to her. Did I let that slip?
Yeah, a lot of people have been saying for years there's either been it was either
I don't
Prince
think
Philip.
that's what happened. I tell you the truth.
I don't.
I mean, granted, I think it was an accident, but I don't think the royal family had anything to do with it.
No.
Granted, I can understand in grief people could say that because we all say something in grief and anger, but yeah.
Some people, I know some people down the years have said, like I said, Prince Philip had involvement because of his Navy past, and he had contacts, of course, through that. The Prince Charles, I think, had something to do with it, and he knew someone. The Queen, obviously, they think, but
I thought of something about years after, which seems a little weird. Don't get me wrong, because we all know they were chasing that. Her car was chased by the paparazzi, and Granted, I think my feelings towards the paparazzi is this: they would not want me on be a deciding juror. All right. I don't care if I'm a fan of a certain. I don't care if I'm a fan of a celebrity or not. But if the paparazzi is involved, I'm going to side with whatever. I'm going to side with whatever celebrity for pretty much decking them because they get themselves into their situation.
Yeah.
Because they'd rile that celebrity up so they get the money shot. But having said that, the theory I came up with like years after her passing was, yes, she was evading the paparazzi. Okay. And either they inadvertently tapped the back of her car, or a car going the opposite way tapped her car. And I don't know if her car had an airbag or not, but if her car did, and granted, on top of that, you got the guy who they said was intoxicated at the same time. So you combine that. So if the paparazzi chasing them tapped her car, or the other car that on the opposite side was passing tapped her car, that could have set off the airbag, throwing them into where we see it. We saw it in the situation. And then, of course, you know how macabre people are in this day and age. They probably set up one of these things like, you want to see the car that was responsible for Princess Di's death? They probably had it somewhere, or they didn't even realize they slipped in. They were the ones that caused it. But still, I've always thought that what if either the paparazzi this time inadvertently did it, or a passing car inadvertently clipped them and set off the airbag if they had one.
Well, I'd say I'm just going to go for it now. I would say that they might have had one because I'm not being rude. They were well like high echelon, weren't they? So they would have had to have some kind of protection in a car like
Yeah.
that. Because
Yeah.
you wouldn't give them like I'm not being disrespectful. You wouldn't just
Yeah,
give
like I
them
said, normally I would
bog
not
standard.
give them the paparazzi the time of day, but in this case,
Yeah. And
it
don't
was just
worry,
like a wild theory that popped in my
yeah.
head.
And don't worry, we're not aiming anything at Harry and Meghan for their wild chase through New York City the other month. Which oh my god, that you should have seen it. It was getting to kill them. But anyways, going back to Diana, his mother. There's also the theory that she got that he would. There's always been that theory that obviously talking to Harry that he wasn't Charlie's son. He was James Hewitt, which I think is possible because no offense, hair color and I can
But yeah,
understand.
I'm sorry. Yeah, there's a strong. If you look at them, there's a strong resemblance to them.
Yep. Well, I'm going to be looking at some of the theories on Wikipedia and the Fayed, whose son, Mohammed Al Fayed, whose son was the one who died, and that, and recently he passed away. Bless him, Mohammed. So now he'll probably get some answers up there of what really happened, but he made an astonishing 175 conspiracy claims.
Damn.
So,
any of them aliens? Because we all know aliens get thrown into everything now.
Yeah.
The lizard people.
This was the thing that was in Harrods, innocent victims. One of two memorials that was previously displayed in Harrods. Here you go. On the 31st of August, so it's going to be it was going to be 27 years this year, August. She's been gone. Bless her soul. In 1999, a French investigation concluded that Diana died as a result of the crash. No shit. The French investigator Judge Hervé Stéphane concluded that the paparazzi were some distance from the Mercedes when it crashed, and obviously there's a car. They're not the actual car, but the car that the type when it crashed, and we're not responsible for manslaughter. After hearing evidence at the British inquest, a jury in 2008. So this was 11 years after the actual accident. They returned a verdict of unlawful killing by driver Henri Paul and the paparazzi pursuing the car. The jury's verdict also said, in addition, the death of the deceased was caused or contributed to by the fact that the deceased was not wearing a seatbelt.
Okay. I didn't want to say anything about that as well, but I was wondering if.
Well, like we were saying, they were probably having a few and don't really,
Yeah, like I said, so the combination of my theory and the no seatbelt thing, because I didn't want to say anything about the no seatbelt because that one I'd forgotten about.
Yeah, obviously we don't want to you didn't want to jump at the gun and then obviously come back, and by the fact that the Mercedes had struck the pillar in the Pont de la Mar tunnel. There's a tunnel there.
Yeah, another thing, if I remember right. Compounded things is you had like 2 or 3 numbers you had to call. It's like, do you call the police? Do you call the ambulance? They had like separate numbers you had to call depending on the type of accident you were involved in.
Yeah.
Like I said, I forget if they had 2 or 3 numbers you had to call, but I remember that much.
Active in disputing the official version of events were the British tabloid newspaper, the Daily Express, obviously, and Egyptian businessman Mohammed Al Fayed, whose son Dodi, who was Diana's partner at the time and who she was set to marry, and also died in a crash. In 2003, Diana's butler, Paul Burrell, published a note that he claimed had been written by Diana 10 years prior in 1993, in which there were allegations that her husband was planning an accident in Diana's car brake failure, and serious head injury so that he could marry again. She had allegedly expressed similar concerns 2 years later in October 1995 to Lord Michigan, her solicitor, that reliable sources had told her that she and Camilla would be put aside for Charles to marry Tiggy Leg Bulk. Until a synod of 2002, the Anglican Church prohibited divorced people with marrying. And obviously, for guys who don't know, Paul Bowl is born exactly where I am, where my dad was born.
Mm-hmm.
And it's his birthday today. Happy birthday,
happy
Paul.
birthday.
Yeah. He was born the year before my dad.
Sweet.
In the same area. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why we moved back here. Not because of him, but because of my dad. And then but then obviously Camilla is who he's with now. But this is who, but there's Tiggy thing. She was a former nanny to Prince William and Charles. Obviously we know that's fake because Charlie had it away with Camilla for so many yonks.
Yeah.
I'm not being disrespectful. That was going on well into there, and I'm obviously
We're taking this as a grain of salt. So.
Yeah. And not only that, Diana, I'm not being rude, Diana had her way as well. So, but a special Met Police inquiry team was established in 2004 with Operation Paget, headed by Commissioner John Stevens, to investigate the various conspiracies which led up to the British inquest. This investigation looked into 175 conspiracy claims that had been made by Fayed. Then in 2005, Childs, as a witness, told Stevens that he did not know about his former wife's note from 1995 and could not understand why she had these feelings. Fayed persistently propounded what were found to be conspiracy theories at the inquest and repeatedly claimed that they believed his son was murdered with Diana. Well, I'm not being rude.
Grand, I think it's an accident, but I don't think it's a conspiracy theory to have her put to death. No.
And here's some of the theories that have come out of like what I think. This is to do with the driver, Henri Paul.
Yeah.
Theorists have alleged that the driver of the Mercedes-Benz, Henri Paul, was in the pay of a national security service, though different versions of the allegation name the country of the security service, alternating as Britain, France, or even the US.
I don't know why the US would want her dead, because for once we were at the time like praising her as well. It's like she all of a sudden became everybody's princess.
Yeah, that's why she got the nickname People's Princess, wasn't it? Because everyone loved her. Evidence purported to support this arises mainly from money in his possession at the time of his death and his personal wealth. These allegations are covered in Chapter 4 of the Operation Paget Criminal Investigation Report. And Al Fayed claimed that Henri Paul was working for MI6 and that they set him up. The inquiry found no evidence that he was an agent for any security service. So, yeah. Then
Strike one.
Strike one of 175 here, folks.
Yeah.
What the blood samples? Another allegation concerns the reliability of blood tests carried out, which indicated that Paul had been drinking before he took control of the car. The French investigators' conclusion that Paul was drunk was made on the basis of an analysis of blood samples, which was said to contain an alcohol level that was more than 3 times the French legal limit.
Yeah, that's why I said. That's why I made my comments. Drunk. It was like it was alleged. So
yeah. That's what I mean. I'm not rude. If you're going to come back with a drunk theory, I'm not rude. That's like the most one that you're going to go with. If you're going to say your son and his partner at the time was drunk, then you're going to obviously say, "Oh, the driver."
If he was the drunk, think about it. If he was the driver, he would take special care not to be intoxicated or what's the or sway. Let's just put it that way.
He wouldn't want to do anything because he'd want to be in full control of the car. He wouldn't want to have anything that to impair him. But in response, French authorities carried out a third test because he wanted because the initial analysis was challenged by a British pathologist hired by Al Fayed. So the French authorities carried out a third test, this time using the more medically conclusive vitreous fluid from inside the eye, which confirmed the level of alcohol measured by blood and showed that he had been taking antidepressants. So I'm not saying that could have been contributed, but if he had been on them, you don't know how many he took. Like,
it could have made him drowsy, at least a little bit drowsy. And
yeah, and I'm not really on, and with them flashing as well, it's not going to really do much. The paparazzi coming at you.
Because you don't have that. Because if they were flashing those lights behind him as well, that could have also contributed to the. Because you've got that mirror, so because we know how much of a pain in the ass people are with their brights. Imagine constant flashing lights from cameras or other surrounding things. So.
And I don't know if you got an issue over there, but we also have an issue on these roads here.
With
God, people where I beam or full beam on.
Oh, I've walked. Trust me, I've walked a lot of times, and when I'm heading up to get something from QT, it's like the brights are just like, come on, people. Or when our Steak and Shake used to be open over here, I'd be sitting in a certain seat, and the lights would just boom straight across, hit me like right bam here, and it's like, come on, people.
Yeah, you just want to turn them down or something. It's also been claimed that the level of alcohol reported to have been found in Paul's blood was inconsistent with his sober demeanor, as captured on the CCTV of the Ritz that evening. Robert Forrest, a forensic pathologist, said that an alcoholic like Paul with a higher tolerance for alcohol would be able to appear more sober than he actually was. The families of Dodi Fayed and Henri Paul did not accept the findings of the French investigation. And then it was disclosed in 2006 that Lord Stevens had met with Paul's elderly parents and told them that their son was not drunk. Stevens said that the available evidence suggested Paul had consumed only 2 alcoholic drinks, but this was not necessarily all that Paul had consumed, and that he was under the influence of alcohol at the time of the crash.
Now, if he ate, now don't forget, if he ate and they failed to comment about that, that'd be withholding in a way.
Yeah, and that is that could be grounds for something. An expert cited in the report that Paul had drunk the equivalent of 5 measures of a car, his favorite licorice-flavored French aperitif, before driving.
No, if he's the driver, he would know better. Didn't matter whether he had a high tolerance to stuff or not. That just sounds iffy to me.
That does. Conspiracy theorists have also cited rumors about high levels of carbon monoxide found in his blood, as indicating that something sinister happened. Not being
but when did he gain that carbon? When did he do that? The carbon monoxide, was that before or after the crash? Because if they crashed, fumes could have piled up into the car.
Exactly. And I'm not being rude. I'm not going to show the record on here, folks, obviously, because I'm not being rude. It is really gross. You can look on Google for it. But the way the car was at the end,
yeah,
you can see how some carbon monoxide could have got into that.
Carbon monoxide.
That carbon monoxide found in Paul's blood, and it's indicating that something sinister had happened. Either to Henri Paul or to his blood samples, and claimed that Paul had such high levels of carbon monoxide in his blood, he could not have functioned at all, let alone driven a car. Well, yeah, that's true. If it was,
but like I said, when was the carbon monoxide put into his bloodstream, before or after? So,
in 2 French tox lab tests, which established the level of carbon monoxide in his blood, one showed a level of 12.8% saturation, which occurs when blood's iron-carrying pigment, immunoglobulin, is bound with carbon monoxide. A non-smoker has about 1% carbon monoxide in his or her blood, whereas smokers will routinely have a level of 8 to 10% more or more. And Paul had been smoking small cigars in the hours before the crash.
There we go. There's another possibility.
Yeah. Then, however, the second test, which was cited by the opponents of the official findings, showed Paul's carbon carboxy immunoglobulin saturation at a level of 20.7% at the time of his death. And then in the ITV documentary, Diana's Secrets Behind the Crash, a year after which was broadcast, Dr. Alistair A. introduced a carbon monoxide expert and told viewers that carbon monoxide disperses at the rate of about half every 4 to 5 hours. So, in other words, the level of 20.7% found during his autopsy could have been 40% several hours earlier when he died. And they're saying that if it had 30 to 40%, he would have had nausea, vertigo, and vomiting.
Which he probably showed no signs of.
No. At 20 to 30%, he would have had strong headaches. But if he did have that, and it was that, and he was having that, could have contributed as well. But people were saying that they weren't swaying the car, so there's obviously, so that is kind of bull there.
Yeah.
If you had nausea or vertigo while you're driving, you'd be swaying some kind of way.
Yeah.
Then here we go. I'll go to this one. Claims circulated in news media in November 2006 that the blood samples tested did not belong to Paul himself and were taken from a side victim. However, DNA testing ordered by French authorities in response appeared to confirm that the blood samples with high alcohol levels were indeed from Paul. The test compared the samples with DNA provided by his parents. However, the DNA test results were challenged at Diana's 2008 inquest. Nevertheless, the jury's verdict identified Paul's drink driving as contributing to the crash.
Mm-hmm. That I remember the results.
Then we have Tomlinson's allegation of MI6 involvement. A former MI6 officer. He was dismissed from the intelligence services and later served 5 months in prison for breaching the Official Secrets Act of 1989. Claimed in a sworn statement to the French inquiry in May 1999 that Britain's MI6 had been involved in the crash, suggesting that the security service had documentation which would assist Judge Stefan in his inquiry. The previous August, he had been reported by the BBC to have claimed that Paul was working for the security services and that one of Diana's bodyguards, either Trevor Rees-Jones, now known as Trevor Rees, or Kes Winfield, was a contact for British intelligence. And Tomlinson alleged that MI6 was monitoring Diana before her death. Well, I'm not being disrespectful.
Okay, I'm looking at some pictures right now, and it looks like there was an airbag deployed.
Well, does it?
Yeah. I can see it through the window. I can see it through the window. So I'm starting to wonder if my little theory has any grounds about how either one of the paparazzi accidentally, like I said, I don't like paparazzi, but in this case, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Accidentally tapped them, or an oncoming car accidentally tapped them, and that's what set off the airbag that eventually would throw them into the that wall, with the combination, of course, the flashing with the combination of the lights and all.
Yeah. And I was going to say that you'd create a car with like this eye of person in it to have airbags.
Yeah.
Because there you go. Tomlinson was arrested by French authorities in July 2006 as part of their inquiry into the death of Diana. French police were also reported to have seized computer files and personal papers from his home in Cannes. And there was his relationship there.
Yeah.
Pregnancy. Yeah, I've heard that one.
Yeah, that always comes up. I forgot how many times that thing came up.
Yeah. But I've heard them saying that she was pregnant, but and then there's another one. The absence of CCTV images. The absence of CCTV images showing the Mercedes' journey from the hotel to the crash site has been frequently cited as evidence of an organized conspiracy. According to the Independent, in 2006 there were more than 14 CCTV cameras in the Pont del Lamar underpass, though none recorded footage of the actual collision. Well, I'm not being disrespectful there. I'm not saying it in a bad way, but anything could have happened. I'm not saying they could have just been not working, or they could have just been like, "Oh, we know you don't need them on because nothing really happens." Oh yeah, this is the one that I've heard, and I'm not being rude. My dad believes this one, the white one, the white Fiat Uno. But there you go. There you go, guys. There was a traffic monitoring camera above the underpass itself, but this was under the control of the Paris Urban Traffic Unit. But that department's closed down at about 11 p.m. and had no night duty staff and made no recordings. So if that's the same company that run the ones in the underpass, obviously they're not going to have them on. The subject of the CCTV cameras is dealt with in Chapter 5 of the Operation Paget report, and it was also found out a photograph that was published in the book by David Cohen's Diana, Death of a Goddess, and captioned as having been taken just before the car entered the tunnel, was in fact taken by a photographer as the car left the back of the Paris Ritz.
Really?
Someone trying to be a bit sneaky and pass off saying that weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. There you go. This is probably where you heard someone tapping it, right? Analysis of the wreckage of the Mercedes revealed it had a glancing contact with a white Fiat Uno car, which left traces of paint on the Mercedes bodywork. Extensive attempts, though, by the French police to find the vehicle were involved were unsuccessful. Although no one had seen this Fiat in the tunnel, some witnesses reported seeing it exit the tunnel, and Mo El-Fayed alleged in his July 2005 statement to Operation Paget and at other times.
Clipped and they were going the speed they were at, that would have set off the airbag, which in turn would have swung them over to the. Yep. Like I said, in turn, you know how macabre people are when it comes to people's the death of celebrities. Somebody just probably decided to have that displayed somewhere and did the whole little Fight Club situation. So,
and this is in the days before social media. Could you imagine if Twitter and all that was around back then? Yeah. You know, they'd have been about 500 million photos in like the time it took. Here you go. Yeah, in any case, that white Fiat Uno was being used by MI6, Mole says, as a means of causing the Mercedes to swerve and thereby crash into the side of the tunnel and the pillar. El-Fayed further alleges that the Fiat Uno was owned by a French photojournalist named Jean-Paul James Anderson, a security services agent, according to El-Fayed, who had photographed Diana while she was at his villa in Saint-Tropez in July 1997. Anderson died in May 2000. El-Fayed claimed that it was due to guilt over what he had done, or because he was assassinated by the French or British security services to silence him. Operation Paget, though, found that the white Fiat Uno Anderson owned was in an unroadworthy condition, being 9 years old at the time, with 325,000 kilometers on the odometer, suggesting that the car had been driven 27,000 miles per annum and had not been maintained for several years prior. And Anderson's neighbours confirmed the veracity of this evidence, and Anderson had sold the car 2 months later in October 1997. Yeah. And the French police spent a year after the crash searching for the vehicle and eliminated over 4,000 white Fiat Unos from their inquiry. Dang, that's a lot. And they decided it would be unlikely that renewed inquiries would identify the vehicle involved after that. Yeah. And then a retired major in the French Brigade Criminal, Jean-Claude Mule, gave evidence to the inquest in February 2008 and said Anderson had been interviewed by French police in February 1998 and had been able to provide documentary evidence about his movements on the 30th and 31st of August, which had satisfied them that he could not have been the driver of the Fiat Uno involved. These demonstrated that Anderson could have only been in his home in Ligonier, 127 miles away from Paris, at the time of this crash. Elizabeth, his widow, said at the London inquest in February 2008 that her husband had been at home in bed with her at the time of the crash. And then there's reports on the suicide.
Yeah.
From him.
There's always the suicide angle.
Yeah. Saying that his body was gone. Yeah, his body was found in a black burnt-out BMW. And they're saying that his death was attributed to problems in his personal life. Levan Tan, that this was a taxi driver who was 22 years old at the time, and multiple witnesses recall seeing a man matching his description exit the tunnel seconds after the crash. He owned a white Fiat Uno identical to the one that struck the Mercedes, and French investigators had narrowed it down from the original 4,000 registered as having the Bianco Corfu 224 paint scheme and manufactured from 983 to 987. Tests concluded, though, that the car could have been involved in the accident, and he was questioned just once and had always refused any further follow-up interview requests. Now, that's a bit dodgy.
It is. If you're refusing, I mean, I hate saying it, if you don't have it, it's like one of those, if you don't have anything to hide.
And he says that he told French investigators that this was his only time that when he was interviewed, he was on shift at the time of the crash as a night shift security guard at a Renault factory in Gennevilliers. And he said another man was working with him, but he couldn't recall his name, which led to him being ruled out as a suspect.
First name shit, first name ball, by any chance?
That must be like the quickest investigation ever.
It's a French name.
What was his name? I can't recall his name. Oh, you're clear. You can go.
Yeah.
If you do that nowadays, you're going to be under arrest because you'll be like, you're lying.
That or they would go to the person and who they were questioned to, at least the place in question.
Critics of the investigation claimed that the French police never verified his alibi. There you go. And it was later uncovered that he left work early that night and could have been visiting his father's home near the Elmar Tunnel. When investigators questioned Tan about his car being resprayed red from the original white and having replacement bumpers, he claimed it was done a few hours prior to the crash. He refused to provide a reason for doing so, and in 2006, Tan's father said that his son had resprayed his Uno red hours after the crash, allegedly.
I smell something.
Allegedly waking up his mechanic's brother in the night to help him. Hang on a minute. So you're telling me that this guy doesn't ever want to be interviewed? He's 49 now. and he's probably still refusing, but he's probably, there's something there. There's something there. I'm sorry. Why would your father even come out and say that he's persuaded hours after the crash and not stick up for his own son?
Yeah.
Al, why don't you go and talk to his brother if he's still around, and they see if they collaborate anything. Oh, you go, bright flash. This is what you would do. This is what we were just discussing a few minutes prior before this. An alternative explanation for the cause of this crash has been reports of a bright white flash just before the car entered the tunnel, blinding the driver.
Could have been somebody's lights. Yep.
Yep. It was found by the authorities that 3 eyewitnesses at the scene of the crash claimed to see a bright flash of light before the crash. Francois Levestre, or originally Francois Levi. What is it with these guys and renaming them?
I have no idea.
Are they hiding something here? Made a clear, specific claim that he saw a bright flash, but his 3 statements to the authorities were in conflict with each other. With the Mercedes behind him, he claimed to have seen the flash in his rear-view mirror and recounted other elements of what he saw while he was negotiating the difficult bend out of the tunnel. Crucially, though, however, his testimony was directly contradicted by his then wife, who was in the passenger seat next to him. Yeah, there's a reason why she's the ex-wife now, folks.
Yeah.
You didn't stick up for me. However, eyewitness Brian Anderson, an American tourist, told detectives that he too saw a bright flash. French police, though, were aware of Levestre's conviction in Rouen during 1989 for dishonesty and the subsequent prison sentence, and he was not thought by them to be a reliable witness.
Jeez.
So you're telling me that you didn't want to? I'm not indisciple. Yeah, I'm not saying that it could be, but
yeah,
but he could have changed his way.
But you got 2 people. Granted, one's got a questionable background, but you got 2 people saying, or 3 people saying, 2 to 3 people saying there was a bright flash, and granted, the ex-wife said it didn't happen. Yeah, right.
So that bright flash. Say that did happen. That bright flash could have done enough to cause this guy's white Fiat Uno to swerve a bit, clip the Mercedes, which in turn and started a chain of events.
And the guy probably didn't even, and at the time, the guy probably didn't even know whose car it was on top of that. So he really didn't put 2 and 2 together. So
and then when he got
no reason for him to.
And then as soon as he got questioned by the cop, I'll probably heard about it on the news. He probably thought, shit. And then that's probably when he thought, well, I best get away from my brother, and I won't do any more interviews now. Oh, see what I mean? There's these conspiracies that are there. Some of them do seem to add up if you look at it right, but then there's some that are like, really? There's a seatbelt angle.
Yeah.
They were in good working order, they said. All the seatbelts. So this was this was analysis of the wreckage in 2005 here.
And if they were running, if they were running from the paparazzi and they dove in the car real quick, it probably slipped their minds to even put their seatbelts on.
Yeah. But this is
granted, it was everybody now. It's like an automatic thing. They probably, like I said, if they were in a hurry, so they wouldn't have to deal with the paparazzi, they probably dove in there. And one of those, they thought they put it on, and when in reality they didn't. And
this had happened in the 60s, 70s, or 80s.
Yeah,
you know as well as I do, people didn't believe in seatbelts.
No.
They just got in the car and just were like, "What the hell is this?" Yeah, nah. But now it's a requirement. Back then it wasn't. Here you go. All were good working order though, except for the right rear seatbelt, which was attached to the seat that Diana was in. So all of them were working except for Diana's. Follow-up inquiries with French investigators found that they had declared all the seatbelts operational at an examination 2 months after the accident in October, suggesting the damage to this seatbelt took place after the crash, which is kind of plausible, but there again, if it wasn't, and that she couldn't get it on, and then all this was going on.
We know there's times when we reach up for the seatbelt and it's like you feel like you're almost going to have to break the thing just to tug on it.
Yep, I have that
because either how it's either due to how it retracted the last time or so.
Then we have the transport to the hospital conspiracy. Basically saying that the first call to the emergency services, Eagle, this is probably what you were on about, there, mate.
Yeah.
Was logged on the switchboard at 12:26 a.m. The French medical ambulance carrying the princess arrived at 2:06 a.m. The French system of emergency care adhered to the stay and play mantra, which meant that the patient needed to be stabilized first at a fully equipped medical ambulance before being directed to a specialized hospital that could treat their injuries, no matter how far away it was. So basically, they're saying there, folks, she had to be dealt with at the scene of the accident.
Yeah. One of those like 2 to 3 numbers you also had to call. And sadly, after this, that's when they consolidated everything.
The period between the crash and the arrival takes into account the following: the time taken for them to arrive, the time taken by the fire service of Paris to remove her from the car, and the actual journey to the
golden hour they were talking about, or the golden minute.
Police officers Sebastian Dorzay and Lino Gagliardone were the first emergency officials to arrive at the scene at 12:12. Then the sergeants of the fire department arrived at around 12:32, so 2 minutes later. Then John Mark Martino, a specialist in anesthetics and intensive care treatment, and the doctor arrived at 12:40. Diana was removed from the car at 1. She then went into immediate cardiac arrest, and then her heart started beating again. She was moved to the ambulance at 1:18 a.m. Then the ambulance departed from the crash at 1:41, and she arrived at the hospital at 2:06, a journey time of approximately 26 minutes. This included a stop at the Gare de Austerlitz, ordered by Martino because of the drop in the blood pressure by the princess. The ambulance was traveling slowly, though, on his express instructions, and the doctor was concerned about her blood pressure and the effects on her medical condition by deaccelerating and acceleration. That seems a bit thing. The SMAU ambulance carrying Diana past the Hotel de Hospital on the Ile de la Cité en route to the Petit Sapet.
Good God, people, get some English freaking names.
Forgive me, guys. It's been over 10 years since I took French at school.
I know, but still, I mean, it's like, come on, people. At least, if you're going to do it, at least have how you're supposed to pronounce it in parentheses next to it.
Yeah.
God.
Well, at least have the English one word next to it. The decision to transfer to the Petit Hospital was taken by Marc Leger, who was on dispatch duty in SAMU control on that night, in consultation with Dr. Dorossi, who was at the scene. And the hospital was the main reception center for multiple trauma patients in Paris. The Hotel Dieu was not equipped to deal with the injuries that she had sustained. So, yeah. Basically, they're saying that, because of the changes in hospital and that could have also affected it. Well, I'm not even rude, considering that I'm reading all that and considering all this, like, how long it took for the first call to be done, and then how she arrived here. That is nuts. And then again,
that's why here in the States you just call one number, and you call and you say you need one or the other. Generally, they ask for a fire engine, the fire and ambulance at the same time.
Same here. We have one, don't we? We have 999, and you have 911, and we get told what service do you want. Do you want fire, police, ambulance, or if you're by the sea, you also get Coast Guard on that. So, embalming of the body. Don't tell me there was a conspiracy with this. Mo Fired alleged that Diana's body was deliberately embalmed shortly after her death to ensure that any pregnancy test at a post-mortem would produce a false result. I've heard some things with the pregnancy though. So, it was a very hot day in Paris when she died, and she had been stored in an empty room adjacent to the emergency room where she had been treated. As a mortuary on the other side of the hospital grounds and some distance away, dry ice and aircon units were placed in that room to keep it cool and appear to have little success. Diana's two sisters and Charlie was scheduled to view the body later that afternoon before bringing it back here to the UK. President Jacques Chirac and his wife also wished to pay their respects. This meant there was very little time to prepare the body for viewing, and it was deemed unacceptable to present Diana's body to her family and the President of France in the state it was in. Faced with this situation, the hospital staff decided to press ahead with embalming with only verbal authority from Martin Montel, the local superintendent of police, who assured John Monsieur that everything would be in order. Under French law, paperwork must be completed before undertaking embalming of any corpse likely to be subject to a post-mortem. Crazy. SAS. We have an SAS thing.
Oh, brother.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. That the court martial of SAS sniper Danny Nightingale led to a letter written by witness Soldier N and sent to his in-laws, coming to wider attention. That Soldier M was in prison for illegally hiding firearms and ammunition. On 17th of August 2013, the Met Police announced they were reviewing evidence that he boasted that the SAS were behind the death of Princess Diana. The parents of Soldier N's estranged wife reportedly wrote to the SAS's commanding officer, claiming Soldier N had told his wife that the unit arranged Diana's death, and it was covered up. Dear God. I've heard it all now, folks. The SAS.
Yeah, same here. I'm just like, come on.
That's like saying that your Green Berets are responsible for the president's deaths.
Mm-hmm.
Like, seriously, guys, SAS? No. Not being disciple. Yeah, I think they could do it, but no, I don't think they would do it.
No, yeah, same here.
They also confirmed that Prince Charles and Mo Fired were being kept informed as preliminary examination progressed. At the end of November 2013, Scotland Yard ended its study of the SAS allegation and released a statement that can be made. On 16th of December, it emerged from Sky News reports that there was no credible evidence. They're well done. There was no evidence that there was there. That is. So, yeah, they're not 125 theories there, folks, but there's some of the tangible ones that they've apparently. So, looking at it, I'm going to go on a limb here and say, and I could be wrong, but I think this was a chain of events, which I think the bright flash happened before they got to the tunnel. Just about here. The car, his car was just coming out of the tunnel. Yeah,
coming in the opposite direction.
Yeah. Then that then the flash happened, and it kind of dazed everyone.
Yeah, they both grazed each other's cars, and the car that did the grazing didn't realize, probably didn't even know whose car it was, so they grazed it, sets off the airbag, which spun Diana's car into where we saw, and sadly with the whole seatbelt issue, I'll say it that way, that's why we had this situation evolve. With the combination of trying to evade the paparazzi, didn't help much either.
And when he saw the paparazzi, I think this guy spooked, went away, thinking, God, that must be someone important. Realized later on that he's going to be needed by cops because of catching it. Heard on the news that or probably on or whatever later on.
That's probably how he found out whose car it was that he clipped. Yeah.
Then said, shit, I need to do something. And if it was what his dad said, and phoned up his brother to get him, can you come here, bro? I need you to quickly do something for me. I don't want to be like the guy that's basically tripped away when I've not done anything. Because he was agitated, according to George and Sabine Dazon, as they said. As an agitated man, they may have seen driving the car. So he was agitated because he was like, probably thinking, shit, well, what have I done?
Yeah.
So if he's called up his mechanic brother and gone, right, bro, I need you to do me a favor. I don't want to go to jail. I've done something bad. Do you know there's news going out now that Princess Diana's been done? I don't want to get done for it because I've not really done anything. I've only just clipped the car. But can you do something for me? And he's got it done quick. Said to the cops, by the way, I've done it. I've had it done before, but I don't want to have any more interviews done now.
Yeah.
Knowing that he's going to probably get caught up on it. Then his dad's come out and basically said that. And now, to this day, we're not going to get an answer. But this guy, I think these two chain of events are linked.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think. And how can you not, if you're the French authorities, before I end this episode here, guys, and that, how can you, as French authorities, not go and question you? Because you're getting an American tourist there who said that they saw the bright flash and that. Richard Tomlinson, who made the allegation at the inquiry, said it. But then a guy who was the one who said it, because he had a criminal record and that, and his wife was like contradictory of it. They were like, no, we don't need to do any more. And yet, like I said, there's an American tourist there who basically said, I saw it as well. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like they've gone.
It does sound like someone's trying to cover something up. So
it looks like they just looked at the paperwork and gone, Brian Anderson, where are you from? St. Paul. I'm just going to make a place here, guys. St. Paul, Minnesota. He's another topic of typical American. Now, there's nothing bother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's probably seen too many of them Hollywood movies, you know. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. But me and Scott thinking like these two events are linked, don't we?
Yeah, yeah. I'd forgotten about the bright flash thing, but the other stuff, yeah.
And for heaven's sake, if his brother's still alive, please go and question him. Or that if his dad said that he's woken him up, look, in the night to help him, why ain't you going and question the brother? We could have had, I'm not in this effort. If you had gone and questioned the brother, this might have all been linked now, and we might have finally got an answer to it all. Because he might have finally said, and he might have listened to his brother and gone, shit, I need to tell him my story now. I know I'm not going to get done now. And this is what really happened.
Yeah.
And we'd all have the answers now.
And then people would start saying, why didn't you say anything all those years ago? He probably says, I tried, but nobody, every chance I tried, nobody will listen to me. He'd probably come back with that type of.
Or he'll say, or always say, I was too scared of facing jail time or whatever.
That too, yeah.
I was 22 years old and I had my life ahead of me. I didn't want to, be some French prison's bitch. But honestly, this is the bit that just got me though. When he says he couldn't recall his name and that ruled him out being a suspect.
Mm-hmm.
Remember his colleague's name. That is when you go and pressure more. I'm sorry, but don't you know anything? When they say, "Oh, we couldn't recall his name," don't law enforcement normally go, right? We need to press this guy more.
Or you go, or you have an agent, an investigator go to the location and check to see and find this person, because that pretty much comes down to dull logic.
Yeah. Some of these, honestly, though, guys, this
I'm still surprised the UFO angle hasn't come up in all this garbage.
It's probably in the alternate universe somewhere.
Yeah.
It wasn't Princess Diana that died in the car. It was Henri, Paul, and Goldie.
In an alternate universe, she was the one that survived.
And Charlie was the one in the car that night.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is that was before we go. That was a car that technically was not a car, but it's a car make that was similar to the one involved. And as you can see, guys, before we go, it's not really the best one. It's up there, but it's not really the best one to be driving around a princess at the time. No offense. It just looks like that's a 4-car. I mean,
yeah, it's like a 4-door car, and
not really much protection, really, was there? Sadly. A sister, though. Before I go, this is what makes me think now as well. Her sister later said, the Lady Sarah said that she was religious, Diana, in putting on her seatbelt. She would always want to put. Other sources question if she did in fact use her seatbelt all the time, as was suggested. So if her sister's saying that, if her sister's grown up with her saying that she was religious about putting it on, wouldn't she know better than anyone?
Yeah.
How old is her sister now anyway? 69. Dang. She's 69 now. That's crazy. But yeah, this is one of the biggest tragedies in our history.
Yep. That's also the one, I can't remember if I mentioned it here or somewhere else, where I can't remember if it was a day or two or an hour before it was reported, I had that familiar deja vu where I was seeing the end table, the coffee table was I had seen umpteen dozen times before. But for some strange reason, even though I recognized it, I didn't recognize it at the same time. It was like the first time I was seeing it. And it had been sitting there all the time, and then this happens. It's like, ooh.
Crazy. I must admit, though, the person who played her in The Crown was amazing.
Yeah.
According to my mom. She said that she played impeccably. She'll be on the first. Look at that. If you notice as well, guys, she died the day before her birthday. The month after her birthday. So she had just turned 36 a month before, and yeah. Bless her. She'd be 36, 27, 56. She'd be in her 60s now as well if she was still around. But yeah, you can't tell me that that's Charlie's kid, though.
No, I'm sorry. That I don't buy it.
Yeah, and guys, he was born Prince Henry of Wales. Yeah, not Harry. He was born Henry.
Minus. I'm not minus. Plus. Yeah, minus. 61. Yeah, she'd be 63 now if she was still around.
Bless her. Yeah, it's crazy.
She passed in 1997. Let's see. How old I
Yeah.
I just turned 30 then.
I had just turned my third birthday. I had just turned 3. But like they say, like we've been saying, it's one of them things that you'll never ever forget where you were when it happened.
Yeah, like I said, I don't remember if we'd moved here or we were still over in the open world garden apartments. But
and if you want to know what kind of character Charlie was and Diana with their relationship before we go, this tells you something. Diana first met him when she was 16, and he was then 29 and was dating her older sister. And then they got together after that.
So he did a little shift over.
God. Yeah. And this is why we're telling you that Harry's definitely not his kid.
Yeah, because he doesn't. Yeah, he looks nothing like Charles.
William, yes.
Yeah, but he doesn't look. Yeah, he doesn't look like.
No.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it and tell that there's no resemblance.
No.
There's resemblance to his mom, sure, but there's no resemblance. Yeah. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, look. There is. Look. Look, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
The younger days, it. There. It's uncanny.
And look at the facial structures. You can actually look at the facial structures at the same time and tell there's so too far many similarities to each other.
And saying, and I'm going to just hold the screen here, guys, for a minute. But if you look at it as well, his behaviour down the years, some of the things he's done is like not of a royal family person. Like that uniform where she wore the Nazi uniform, at a party in that clubbing, drinking. Not in this ever. You didn't ever see William or hear William do anything like that. It was always Harry, the one who was off the rocks, weren't it? So where did he get that from? Trying to tell me he got that from his dad.
Yep.
So yeah. Well, she's
You want to talk about, and you know what they should do is there's that What You Would Look Older app, which came out several years ago. And just for some giggles' sake, they should take a picture of him, do the little age progression, and see who he resembles more. Because I know I did it with Dad. I know I did it with May. And I started cracking up because the picture they came up with, it looked like they took the shirt that I was wearing, the goatee, the hairstyle I had at the time, and just stuck it on Dad. I mean, that's exactly what it looked like. So if you really want to see it, whose kid it is, take that What You Would Look Older app and put him towards that app and see who he looks more like.
And you're going to. I've got a perfect family photo though for everyone before we go, because this is definitely. That is definitely, look, he's even got, not being as helpful, that he's even got a cheeky glance of the smirk as well, and he's got Di's eyes.
Yeah,
I know that, but the ears, the grin, and the nose is all his.
And if you look at it a certain way, even the hairline, where the hairline connects.
Yes. Compare that to everyone, and to this guy, and you can't tell me that hang on. No, get that one.
Yeah, the smile. You can see the similarities in the smile.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. The way they smile's the same.
The hairline.
Yeah, the hairline.
No, what you got the same. Yeah, the nose.
Yeah, the way they grit their teeth in particular.
And even the way their face goes when they smile.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, compare that to him.
Yeah, and look at the complexion between the two of them too. You can tell by the complexion those are two. And right there, granted, he has got a darker complexion because he's been in the sun more, but you can still see there's more of a similarity between the two of them than the other one.
Than him, yeah. And I'm not in this effort. I think also the Queen knew.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Queen and Philip knew.
Well, whether it was purposeful or accidental, who knows? But it probably took place. I hate saying this. Don't get me wrong. I hate saying this, but we all know the little trials and tribulations they had during their little get together. So it probably happened during one times they had one of their little spats. So
and if you notice, she was a frequent thing with Polo because of Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
And she always got talking to everyone at the Polo, and if you notice, Hewitt was on Charlie's team.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he was captain as well in the services for. But yeah, you can't tell me that. I'm going to end it there. Anyways, because that was on that one, But that's a conspiracy for another day with Charlie and. But yeah, that would give you a bit of food for thought, because he's got to know surely now, Harry. Before I go, he's got.
And I'd love to hear the voices too, because 2-to-1, there's got to be similarities in the voices, because I know Mom accused me of having, and I even channel Dad's voice every now and then. I find myself, so when they talk, you could probably tell the voice tones between the two of them as well.
Yeah, because you've got to know something. Surely, there's got to be something on it, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
And he come out 7 years ago on Good Morning America and said he's not his dad. That is, Anyways, I'll play this off thing a minute, because I'll probably get a copyright strike, from Good Morning America.
Going down the rabbit hole with this one.
Yeah, this will be one I'll be doing another time. But thank you all so much for watching this episode. I believe go and research it, because if you don't know about it, it's got to be one of the most known ones out there on conspiracies. if you're going to ask anyone what conspiracies they believe in, 9 times out of 10 Diane has on near the top of the list.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be back in a minute to do a paranormal special. I've got some EVPs that I'm going to be listening to on that, and I want to get Scott's opinion on them. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll let Scott say his channel as we go out. If you want to go and subscribe to him, yeah.
I got to remember. I got to point towards my.
Yeah, that's me.
My door. I got to remember. I got to point towards my door instead of my. Yeah, I could do this. I could do this too. But yeah, I got to remember. I got to point to my. Oh wait a minute. No. Yeah, my door. I'll get it straight somewhere.
Yeah,
here,
honestly, don't
here,
like.
Here, let me just do this.
Just do that. Yeah, I'll be back in a minute, guys. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. But yeah, go and research this, and you'll be amazed at the rabbit holes you'll find. Honestly, you won't regret it. You'll even probably make some links that we've never even made.
Yeah.
But thank you all so much for watching, and we'll be back in a bit. Take care and respect you all. Bye, everyone.